This podcast is part of the Big Heads Media Podcast Network. Go to bigheadsmedia.com for more great podcasts.
You are plugged in for the podcast, Wrestling Society.
Faith is the place, and the sky's the limit.
Thanks for joining us on the podcast Wrestling Society. We're climbing into our DeLorean and hitting 88 miles per hour as we travel all the way back to the year 1996, one of the biggest years in wrestling history. I'm your loving leader, benevolent host, Midwest Monster, and I'm moving from New York to Atlanta for guaranteed money. I'm Troy Adams, and Great Scott, my tag partner today. He is the zip to my skip. He is Body Donna Greg. What up, Greg?
Why?
Because they were tag team champions for a bit in 96. That's why.
I want to slap you for that.
Don't. Hey, you are Dr. Tom Pritchard, okay?
I'd rather be Bruce.
Said no one ever.
Why?
Yeah, I'd rather be Brother Love than Dr. Tom Pritchard. I don't know. I mean, maybe. But hey, I'm Chris Candido, so I don't know if that's good.
You know what? Out of respect for the deceased, I'm gonna not make any jokes at all.
I will say this, in retrospect, like looking backwards, I mean, I'm not sitting there going, my God, he was like so great. But I mean, looking back, he was much better than.
Oh, he definitely wasn't bad.
Ever. No, yeah, he was good. I liked his triple threat thing he had going on with Bam Bam Bigelow and Shane Douglas. I thought that was cool.
It just dawned on me that Tom Pritchard was a Body Donna and a Heavenly Body.
Oh, right. Oh, God. Maybe that's where they got that from.
Because when I think of Dr. Tom, I think of a Heavenly Body, man.
Well, he's better than Gigolo Jimmy Del Rey's body. I mean,
you shut your mouth.
Not to speak ill of the dead, but...
Well, I'm defending him, so you shut your mouth.
Apparently he got the last name Del Rey because he was from Del Rey, Florida, or whatever the hell. So, like, they were just like...
Sounds like it works, so whatever.
Yeah, it sounds better than whatever is...
It rolled off the tongue, Gigolo Jimmy Del Rey, so whatever. You know, it was...
Yeah. All right, man. Well, anyway... 1996 is our subject for the next 3 weeks because I wanted to get this into one show, but then I'm like looking through stuff and I'm like, man, you experienced it. I was not yet a wrestling fan by this time. I mean, you were still real young, so you probably weren't diving into dirt sheets and stuff like that at this age, you know.
No, wrestling was still fun. No fanboys ruining on Twitter, so yeah.
I'm getting right into it. Live rounds. But yeah,
we're getting a letter.
No, we're getting a tweet. Even worse, we're getting flamed on Twitter.
That's right, because those mean something.
Yeah, well, hey, I said that Dr. Britt Baker was a terrible promo, and I was told you need to quit watching wrestling. So, I mean, gosh, there you go. This was right after I talked about, you know, I put over Dynamite in my previous tweet, and never mind. I'm not getting into it. Anyway, 96, there was a lot going on. So it is, I mean, unless I skip over really big details, which I don't want to do here, it is impossible to get it into one show or even two shows. But I don't want to spread it out like the 95 review, which I thought was some really good work by us. However, we covered only the pay-per-views and we spread that MFR out for like 6 or 7 episodes.
Yeah, I don't know why, but at some point in every podcast, we go back to 95. Like that was like a nucleus year or something.
It kind of was. I mean, as crap as it was in some areas, it had a lot going on, oddly enough. Like,
well, you know those things that say like, so bad it's good. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, that's true, I think.
It had some bright spots. Brett and Diesel going at it. Shawn, the emergence of Shawn Michaels as a baby face. You know, different stuff like
Isaac
that.
Yankem. I mean, there's some good stuff there.
I'm gonna smack the hell out of you. But regardless,
I couldn't help it. Sorry.
95 was growing pains, I feel, in a lot of ways. A little bit of that still in 96, but things were starting to come into their own. Nitro was an entity, like a successful entity by this point. And, lots of stuff going on. But I figure we'll dive just headfirst into all of it here in January of 1996. I'm getting some of this info from, a lot of this info from stuff out of the Wrestling Observer. I've weeded out, because the thing is, when you read the Observer in retrospect, you can weed out what's clearly BS from what has been proven to be the truth. So I weeded out all of Dave's predictions and plans changed and all that other BS, which, by the way, Shayna Baszler and Roman Reigns were supposed to win those Rumbles, but plans changed day of, Greg, just to swerve Meltzer.
Well, he said it, therefore
it is. There you go. But
he's such an idiot. And so are all of his listeners. I don't care if you get mad at me for that. You listen to that man, you're an idiot.
January 1996, man, starting out after $30 million in losses over the last 7 years, WCW finally turned a profit in 1995. As much as we just crapped on it, that's the first year ever WCW turned a profit. Can you believe that?
I can, actually, yeah.
It was the first. I'm
surprised they didn't turn. I'm surprised they didn't turn a profit with the Ding Dongs, but
Oh my gosh! Which, by the way, I didn't realize this until I was looking back. We covered the debut of the Ding Dongs in a previous podcast when they were at Clash of the Champions Guts and Glory. That was their debut, and I had no idea. But it is in the archives right now. Go check it out.
Or don't. We'll hold you accountable if you don't.
But while
please do.
Well, some things are getting better. Some things are getting bad. Missy Hyatt's lawsuit against Turner Broadcasting, WCW, and Eric Bischoff was settled out of court this month in January. The terms of the settlement and the things said in the depositions will remain confidential. She was suing for sexual harassment. She got a small settlement. Eric Bischoff still maintains that she was full of crap. And she went to WCW and did a gimmick where she was getting banged by Just Incredible in the bathroom, walked out, looked at Jack Victory and said, "Did I F you?" And he said, "No, you managed me." And she said, "Well, whatever."
No. She looked at him and said, "You managed yourself."
Oh, yeah.
That's what made it funny.
Yeah, okay. Still, this woman sued another company for sexual harassment, and this is what she's doing in ECW.
Yeah, what's the problem?
Just think about it. I
don't see the problem. But...
Yeah, blows my mind. WCW is allowing blading again. Shut up. WCW is allowing blading again after a long time of not allowing it, which is why Mike Graham, Blacktop Bully, and Dustin Rhodes all got fired after Uncensored 95.
That was a hell of a show, by the way.
They should have just got fired for having that abysmal match, but they got fired for the blood. But yeah, 96, blood is back, or blading is back, I should say. On TV, Mean Gene Okerlund teased a story for the WCW hotline about a former world champion announcing his retirement and to call for the details as if it was a late-breaking story. When calling the hotline, Okerlund revealed that it was Ricky Steamboat. Okerlund said that WCW is holding a retirement ceremony for Steamboat at the upcoming Nitro in Atlanta. However, there were no plans whatsoever by WCW for Steamboat retirement ceremony, and Steamboat hadn't even been contacted by WCW at all. In fact, Steamboat is actually in a lawsuit with WCW over breach of contract for the way he was fired after his injury. When asked about this, Okerlund's explanation was that he was just reporting a rumor of the retirement ceremony for Steamboat. They got away with so much bullcrap on those hotlines, man, that they made you pay for.
Well, it was only $4 and then $1 for extra additional minutes.
This was, to me, the audio version of buying the Wrestling Observer.
But yeah, but Mean Gene's respectable. He's not a piece of crap like, well, you know.
Well, yeah, I mean, Mean Gene was respectable. However, the hotline was hot garbage. And WWE was teasing big news, and then you call up and they had no big news. Whereas WCW, you call up their hotline and they just lie to you. So take your pick. Terry Taylor issued an apology on the WCW hotline for saying the ECW champion, the Sandman, was a drug addict. That really happened.
Why not?
Yeah. He didn't come right out and say the Sandman's name, but he said the ECW champion is a drug addict, and it was.
It makes sense.
So, look, even if he was a drug addict or whatever, you don't. Yeah, I mean, you just that's.
Well, I mean, I'm not endorsing it, but I'm not.
Yeah, this was an interesting story.
That hotline, man.
I know. Think about all the times Mark Madden got into hot water with that damn thing. Whew.
Mark Madden getting hot water with his mouth? No way.
Right. Well, speaking of getting into hot water, your boy Hulk Hogan filed a lawsuit last week, or this month, whatever, against a Minneapolis woman who was actually the PR woman for his Pastamania restaurant in the Mall of America, and the woman's attorney, accusing them of extortion. Reportedly, the woman and her lawyer accused Hogan of some sort of reprehensible conduct of a sexual nature that went well beyond harassment. They sent Hogan a letter, a tersely worded letter, by the way, with backwards R's, threatening to file charges against him and threatening to sue him, but said that they would be willing to settle the matter financially and keep it secret. Of course they would. Hogan, of course,
that doesn't sound fishy to me.
Yeah. Hogan, of course, denies the claims and says that the letter is an attempt to extort him, so he's suing them. Obviously, like, history shows nothing happened with this. Hogan got off scot-free. The woman was full of crap, apparently. So, there you go. Keeping on with the legal troubles, Davey Boy Smith's trial for aggravated assault starts later this month in Calgary and is being called the highest profile trial in the city in years. Smith is accused of severely injuring a man in a bar fight back in 1993. Did you remember hearing anything about this back at the time, or was it?
Never.
Yeah, I didn't even know about this. But more to come later in the year. Smoky Mountain Wrestling, by the way, officially closed their doors in December of 1995. So, Cornette's company finally... Loss. Yeah. Cornette's company finally went man boobs up.
Wow.
What? It's Cornette. Whatever. Anyway, moving on. I threw this in here just because this story is... We got to get at least one crazy Mexico story per month in these reports.
We do got a quota to meet.
Yep. Here you go. A fan in the balcony at a AAA show threw something at Psychosis, and so Psychosis ran into the crowd, up to the balcony, and beat the fan senseless. It was apparently so bad that the police were called, but when they arrived, Psychosis was backstage and had already taken off his mask and his gear, and everyone told the police that he had already left, when in reality, he was right there in the locker room the whole time.
How the hell did they get away with that?
Because snitches get stitches, and, I guess. So they didn't know what he looked like without the mask yet. He hadn't quite rode that Juan deer to the ring while maskless yet.
Oh, my God.
A real thing. I have a Jax figure of him, by the way. In his jumpsuit. Just the one, unfortunately. I wish I had one of him in his mask.
You only double up on Rob Conway, I see. All right, gotcha.
Well, hell yeah. I got to get one of him in La Resistance and one of him as the Con Man.
Oh,
real
my God.
Story about this is real. I still got to take a picture of that and put it online. And here's the beginning of this. On Raw, WWF aired a skit where they had guys dressed like Ted Turner, Bill Shaw, Harvey Schiller, Hulk Hogan, and Randy Savage in Billionaire Ted's Wrestling War Room.
Hell yeah.
And they made fun of Hogan and Savage being old after 1 week's Billionaire Ted skit suggesting WCW doesn't have a legit steroid policy. WCW first responded with threats of a lawsuit. That didn't stop these skits, by the way. They kept on going. The NAPTY
because you can't sue for parody.
I guess. The NAPTY TV convention was in Las Vegas, and both WWF and WCW were represented. There were long autograph lines for Hogan and Savage. The only WWF star to really have any line at all was Shawn Michaels, and the nearby pizza lines were apparently longer than his. That's hard to believe, man, but I don't know. He went on to win the Royal Rumble this year, which we're about to get into, by the way. All the news is out there. ECW's house party took place this month. We're only going to cover the big matches of all these pay-per-views. This was on January 5th, 96 at the ECW Arena in Philadelphia, attended by 1,150 fans. Too Cold Scorpio with Woman in his corner defeated Mikey Whipwreck to win the ECW TV title. The Sandman with Woman in his corner defeated Conan to retain the ECW heavyweight title. And that did not main event. The main event was Public Enemy defeating the Gangstas in a tag team street fight. Because what other match would those two teams be in besides a garbage match?
Perfect.
Yeah. This would be Public Enemy.
I thought it was going to be an amazing, technical, Briscoe Funk classic.
Yeah, 5 stars in the Tokyo Dome, man. Come on. Main event anywhere in the world.
Oh my God, shut up.
This would be Public Enemy's last appearance for ECW. Rob Van Dam actually debuted at this show, defeated Axel Rotten. Shane Douglas also returned to a great reaction, but did not wrestle. The big news for the show, however, was an angle where Beulah announced that she was pregnant and said that Tommy Dreamer was the father. More on that to come. This was...
because I can't wait to dive into that.
Yeah, this angle was something. But we also got the Royal Rumble this month. The tagline, you've been warned. You've been warned. Welcome to the dark side, live on pay-per-view. I don't get it. But the date was January 21st, 1996, at the Selland Arena in Fresno, California. Total attendance, 9,600. The 1996 Royal Rumble marked the first pay-per-view appearance of Steve Austin as the Ringmaster. His most well-known gimmick, clearly. He never went on to do anything else after this.
Yeah.
His elimination was accidental, as he was supposed to be in the Final Four, but he slipped on the ropes and fell out when he was doing a spot with Fatu. I don't know if did you ever hear about that?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, I just recently learned about that. In the weeks following the Royal Rumble, the Ringmaster gimmick was met with lukewarm reaction from fans, prompting Austin to create a new look and a gimmick for himself, the Stone Cold gimmick, which basically killed his career, but whatever.
Talking like you went on to have an amazing match at WrestleMania with Savio Vega. You shut your mouth.
Oh, yeah, that one. That strap match at Beware of Dog.
I thought they had a redo. More on that later.
Yep. Right. By the way, I have a Mattel figure of the Ringmaster. I don't know if you do.
No, I could never find that one.
Ah, well, I have.
I got the Hunter Hearst Helmsley in that line. Not that one though.
I have Hunter Hearst Helmsley. I have the Ringmaster, and I have old school John Cena, like his debut in WWE, the biker shorts.
Yeah, I got those too.
Yeah. Featured matches at the Rumble, by the way, were the Rumble match itself, which was won by Shawn Michaels, who last eliminated Diesel to win the match, making it his second straight Royal Rumble win. Goldust defeated Razor Ramon for the Intercontinental title. The Smoking Guns, Bart and Billy, defeated the Body Donnas, who I mentioned earlier, to retain the WWF Tag Championships. And The Undertaker, with Paul Bearer, defeated Bret Hart via disqualification in a World Heavyweight Championship match when Diesel pulled the referee out of the ring and flipped off The Undertaker. So that's heating up and heading somewhere, I would assume.
Yeah, Diesel's last match, or last WrestleMania.
Yep. Also this month, the last big thing was WCW Clash of the Champions 32. It was on January 23rd at Caesars Palace in Paradise, Nevada. The show did a 4.5 TV rating, making it one of the top-rated wrestling shows in the history of TBS. Lord Steven Regal injured his knee during the opening dark match against Chris Benoit. Benoit bled from the eye after receiving several headbutts. The show included... Strap in for this, Greg. Some good stuff. The show included the wedding of Colonel Robert Parker and Sister Sherry, which was interrupted by Medusa, who was revealed to have been seeing Parker on the side. Brian Pillman, during his match with Eddie Guerrero, grabbed ringside commentator Bobby Heenan's jacket, like the neck of his jacket, from behind, causing Heenan to yell, "What the F are you doing?" But he didn't say F.
But yeah, it was like not even edited out for TV because it was live, right?
Yep. No, we're live, pal.
Oh, man. I missed that one.
Heenan later apologized for his outburst. Got no heat for it because he had neck problems, if none of you remember. And he didn't know like what Pillman was going to do because he wasn't supposed to touch him. Disco
and there was like a hard no-touch policy on him, I believe, too, right?
Basically, yeah. That's why there was no heat on him. They were like, we get it. Disco Inferno forfeited his match to perform at Parker and Sherry's wedding. This was revealed by an Elvis impersonator who Kevin Sullivan attacked. This is just bonkers. The Road Warriors...
This sounds like a horse crap book on acid right here, as Conrad would say.
Basically.
Good Lord, everything you just read is like the worst crap ever. Sorry, keep going.
It's going. The Road Warriors returned at this event to challenge WCW Tag Team Champions Sting and Lex Luger, with Sting agreeing to a match despite Luger being reluctant. Kevin Green, Miss Elizabeth, Deborah McMichael, Linda Balea, and the debuting Woman and several other women initially came to the ring with Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage for the main event, which was Hulk Hogan and Macho Man versus Ric Flair and The Giant. It was reported that Ric Flair, who lost the WCW World title to Savage one day prior, threatened to quit WCW unless the finish to the main event, which was originally supposed to be Hogan pinning Flair with a leg drop, was changed. At the event, Flair pinned Savage after the use of a foreign object. Man, just a lot of crap going on there.
I never knew about that. The threatening to quit.
Neither did I. I've never heard anything about that. So that's, but it's on Wikipedia, which is gospel.
What, did he quit?
I don't know. Well, plans changed. He stayed. But anyway,
you gotta tell me this stuff, man.
That wraps up January. We're gonna take a quick break here. When we come back, we're gonna dive into February here. Moving on with 1996, a year in wrestling review. We got some more juiciness yet to come. We'll be right back after these short messages.
Hi, I'm Mark.
And I'm Carol.
And we're the hosts of Retro Late Fee. We are stuck in 1994.
And we can't get out.
We're watching all the movies and TV shows that you probably remember, I guess. Somehow we're speaking to you through some kind of time portal.
Right.
Join us every week for great movies and TV shows from 25 years ago.
It's fun, I swear.
Hey, I'm Zach.
And I'm Kevin.
And we're the hosts of the Ringside Podcast.
We were annoyed by the lack of hockey coverage on local sports radio and decided that we were stupid enough to try and provide some ourselves.
We have what we call the Ringside Guarantee. We guarantee that the podcast you're currently listening to is better than ours. We are literally just two halves of one whole idiot trying to fumble through covering the Detroit Red Wings, the National Hockey League, and hockey in general.
Check us out on Facebook and Twitter at Ringside Pod, and subscribe to us on all your favorite podcast providers.
Every time you listen to our podcast, it brings us one step closer to our ultimate business goal of purchasing the Arizona Coyotes and then moving them to Detroit. What? Now, back to your regularly scheduled programming, or just another commercial. We aren't the ones who make those choices.
In a world where digital content barrels towards us at relentless breakneck speeds, where posts and memes and tweets and snaps rain down a punishing assault of attention-grabbing data, three heroic podcasters with a strong background in broadcast media are taking on the internet. Each week, we break down the trends, technology, and connections that are transforming our lives. We are Things I Found Online.
Available wherever you get your podcasts.
Diving into February here in 1996. The news of the month, man. The big stuff here. On Raw, WWF showed a real letter that Eric Bischoff sent to Vince McMahon threatening legal action for the Billionaire Ted skits. Bischoff was not mentioned by name, and they only referred to him as a WCW, quote, executive, because WWF was trying to portray this war as Vince McMahon versus Ted Turner. I don't know if you ever noticed that. Like, Vince McMahon never, ever once mentioned Eric Bischoff.
I mean, looking back, I noticed it, but watching it live, I mean, I wouldn't have even looked for it, so.
Yeah, I mean, you didn't think of it. But, yeah, he never once... It was always Ted Turner and WCW executive.
Well, I think it's because he personally knew Turner.
Well, also because he didn't give a crap about Bischoff. It was, oh, well, who's Eric Bischoff? Ted Turner is a billionaire. You know, that'll make me look like I'm fighting an uphill battle against a giant. But it's like if you say he's fighting against Eric Bischoff, like, who the hell is that?
Yeah, I don't know. Just some little exec.
Yeah. After Eric Bischoff sent the letter to WWF, by the way, threatening to sue, WWF lawyer Jerry McDivitt responded with a letter of his own telling Bischoff that the skits were a response to WCW's disparaging remarks about them for WCW's trademark and copyright violations, specifically Renegade's copying of the Ultimate Warrior gimmick, and referencing contracted wrestlers Lex Luger and Medusa, although neither was actually under contract with WWF when they jumped ship. So basically, it was a pissing match between lawyers here. That went on throughout the Monday Night Wars. It was really annoying. On Nitro one week, the power cut out during the main event for several minutes, cutting off the broadcast. When they came back on air, Bischoff repeatedly blamed the event on sabotage by the WWF. Vince McMahon was infuriated and being accused and assumed that the WWF would attempt to do something illegal and literally sabotage the arena while they were on air. Good grief. WCW had been actively promoting blood, by the way, hyping the fact that there will likely be bloodshed in the next 2 cage matches at the upcoming Super Brawl show and showing Hogan's blade job on Nitro. So they're going whole hog with the blood at this point after just firing people the year before over it.
Could have brought him back. God. I wanted the Blacktop Bully back, man. That's a missed opportunity right there.
Well, after he won that King of the Road match and they set all the pyro off like he just won the Rumble, you know he was going on to his big push.
Oh, man. Forgot about that. The pyro.
These next 2 things, by the way, are effing just nuts. This first one, well, okay, these next 3 things. There's some serious heat between Medusa and Sherry Martel and WCW. On Nitro, they had a match, and after the match, Medusa gave Sherry a German suplex. Sherry was not told in advance about the suplex. She was legit knocked silly by that, and Sherry was later fired that month. So, yeah. Okay. Not a good way for Sherry Martel to go out of the biz. There was an incident at a hotel in Orlando where all the WCW wrestlers were staying when when a man held a woman hostage in a hotel room and later threw her out and barricaded himself in. The SWAT teams showed up and evacuated the entire hotel, including many of the wrestlers. They eventually tear gassed the guy out. What's notable about the incident is that Brian Pillman, of course, stayed in character outside of the hotel the whole time and kept trying to get back in so he could apprehend the suspect himself. After police got the guy and brought him out, Pillman kept trying to get close and was giving the guy the four-finger, four horsemen signal as they put him in a police car. On that same night, Public Enemy member Johnny Grunge was arrested for DUI after taking a WCW production van for a joyride. Woo! Good way to start out the company.
This whole thing just sounds like a headache. Like dude, everything you just read gave me a headache. Seriously, like, oh man.
Oh, I know.
When do you got to stop?
Pillman's just being a nut. Johnny Grunge driving drunk with a production van. Literally, they've been in the company for like weeks.
Are we sure Russo wasn't running the show? I mean, like really sure.
WWF yet? Here's a
drunk driving, bro. You're gonna kill someone. They'll be gone forever, bro. It's gonna be on TV.
They're gonna die in a fiery crash. Gone forever, bro. Here's one that just is nuts. Former WCW wrestler.
No.
Former wrestler Ranger Ross. You remember him?
Hell yeah, I do.
He was arrested and charged with being involved in 5 major robberies, as well as arson and embezzlement, and admitted to all the charges at a court hearing.
And that is Ranger Ross for you.
Hot.
That sounds like someone you would have watch your kids. Oh, Ranger Ross.
oh, that silly Ranger Ross. He apparently robbed 4 banks and a grocery store and attempted to burn down the city clerk's office in order to cover up evidence that would have implicated him and for embezzlement at his normal job where he worked for the government collecting fees for the probation office. What is going on?
Good God, man. Is New Jack involved in this too? Because that has him written all over it.
No, his crimes are much less intricate. He just stabs people.
Fair enough.
He'll cut a mofo. The Royal Rumble did a shocking 1.2 buy rate, which is way better than anyone expected. Vince McMahon has come out guns a-blazing against WCW. He filed a complaint with the FTC blaming TBS, or claiming that TBS is using unfair business practices to try to destroy WWF to achieve a monopoly over the wrestling industry. Why isn't this ironic? He also
especially considering all the crap he talked.
Right. He also took out anti-Turner ads in several issues of the New York Times financial section aimed at stockholders. WWF lawyer Jeremy McDivitt also sent Eric Bischoff a letter demanding an apology for WCW's insinuations that the WWF was responsible for the power outage on Nitro. And another letter to Ted Turner personally about WCW allowing blading and promising blood on pay-per-view. Like, this is the same crap that Vince McMahon is doing to AEW. God dang it, pal. Blood is barbaric.
Oh, did you see the Rumble last night? I mean, last Sunday?
Oh,
oops.
Yeah.
We'll record early.
Yeah, no. Yeah, did you see how Beth busted her head open?
Yeah.
Ramon didn't... I mean, he saw the blood, obviously, but he didn't see how it happened.
I saw it after, not during.
Yeah, I had seen it. I had seen it online, like on Twitter, and I was like, oh man, because I was like, how did she bust her head open? And I got on Twitter and I looked, and I was like, oh man, that was rough. She bled buckets out of the back of her head.
It was so bad at one point I thought it was just hair dye.
That's what I did, because we were trying to figure it out. I was like, is that hair dye or is she bleeding? And then it kept growing, and I'm like, oh no, wow, that's a lot of blood. But yeah, closing up here with some of the news. Woman, better known as Nancy Sullivan, from future Nancy Benoit, whatever, worked her last ECW show this month. Here's how they sent her out. They did a storyline where Woman tried to convince ECW champion The Sandman and several other wrestlers to come with her to WCW. Well, they all turned her down, called her a B-word and a whore, and then Too Cold Scorpio literally threw her out of the building. Classy ECW. The Davey Boy Smith assault case in Calgary wrapped up and went to the jury. He was eventually acquitted in the trial on aggravated assault charges. So it took about a month. Nothing came about of it. You ready for your crazy Mexico story of the month?
Always.
A AAA show got out of hand. Go figure.
No way.
When the fans nearly rioted after La Parka lost the light heavyweight title, the fans began throwing chairs at the wrestlers, not in a fun ECW way, but actually attempting to hit them. Psychosis ran into
a fun ECW way.
Yeah, that's the way it was worded. Psychosis, shocker, ran into the crowd with a barbed wire wrapped baseball bat he had been using earlier in the show and was about to start swinging at fans, but Conan restrained him. Yes, people, Conan was the voice of reason.
That's how you know you got a sick cast of characters when he's the normal one.
Oh, God, I know. He's like, hey, man, let's calm down. Let's just go to the back and hit that water bong, bro.
You're not wrong.
Eric Bischoff talked about that because he was like, talking about being on Keeping It 100. He was like, the most impressive thing, man, is like, throughout that whole podcast, he's just sitting there just ripping the hell out of that bong. He was like, that's impressive. Like, holy crap. But yeah, Super Brawl 6 took place this month, man. Tagline was the brawl for the belt, which shows you that it was not WWE, because they're not belts, pal. They're championships, pal. God dang it.
And it wouldn't be a brawl for it, it'd be a championship opportunity.
Exactly. Not a shot, not a brawl. It is an opportunity for a championship title. And not gender specific, by the way, because those are bad words now. It was at the Bayfront Arena in St. Petersburg, Florida, attended by 7,200 people. The event marked Brian Pillman's final match in WCW in his I Respect You strap match against the Taskmaster. Pillman grabbed the mic and shouted, I respect you, Booker Man, breaking kayfabe before leaving the ring and confusing us all. Did you watch that, like, when it happened?
I did. I didn't understand it at the moment when it happened either, so.
Well, yeah, you were young at this time still. You were probably like, what the frick? like what's Booker Man? In the WCW World Heavyweight Championship match, Ric Flair pinned Randy Savage after Miss Elizabeth turned on Savage by allowing Flair to hit him with one of her high-heeled shoes. And then the main event was the second steel cage match in a row featuring Hulk Hogan versus the Giant. Hogan defeated the Giant to win the match. Go figure. And then we get ECW and WWF's pay-per-views for the month. ECW held Cyber Slam. It was February 17th, attended by 1,300 fans. Brian Pillman recently left WCW and returned to ECW in unusual circumstances. You knew exactly what I was talking about when I was texting you about this, by the way.
Yep.
During an interview conducted in the ring with Joey Styles, Pillman insulted Eric Bischoff, calling him a commentator, a gopher, and a piece of, I'll say, excrement. He turned his attention to the ECW audience, derisively calling them smart marks. After Styles attempted to end the interview, Pillman threatened to yank out his Johnson and urinate in the ring. Pillman was also confronted by ECW owner Todd Gordon, Booker Paul Heyman, and wrestler Shane Douglas, who had him removed from the ring by security guards. While being dragged from the arena, Pillman attacked a plant sitting in the audience with a fork that he produced from his boot, because we all just walk around with forks in our boot.
Oh, man.
Francine and the Pitbulls defeated Stevie Richards and the Eliminators in a dog collar match. Too Cold Scorpio fought the Sandman to a time limit draw for the ECW television titles, And the Raven, with Kimona Wanalea, Stevie Richards, and the Blue Meanie, defeated the Sandman with Missy Hyatt in his corner to retain the ECW heavyweight title. And finally,
that sounds like a barn burner.
Well, hell yeah, main event anywhere in the country, man. And to wrap up the month here with WWF In Your House 6, Rage in the Cage. I
think that was a video game name, too.
Might have. I don't know. Did you watch this one? I know you're a big WWF guy.
I did, yeah.
This was February 18th, 1996, from the Louisville Gardens in Louisville, Kentucky. This is one of Jim Cornette's favorite arenas. Shocker. 5,500 people in attendance. Shawn Michaels defeated Owen Hart with the aforementioned Jim Cornette in his corner to determine the number one contender for the WWF World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania 12. I remember this. Shawn Michaels was like talking crap in the ring on Raw. Cornette came out and kind of challenged him for Owen, and Shawn put his title shot on the line. The main event of the show is a steel cage match in which reigning WWF World Heavyweight Champion Bret the Hitman Hart defended the championship against Diesel. The Undertaker emerged inside the steel cage by busting through the floor of the ring and attacked Diesel, dragging him through the hole, and allowed Bret Hart to climb over the top of the cage for the win. I specifically remember that because it was on the Best of In Your House Coliseum home video, and I owned that cassette there, that VHS. If anybody's listening and doesn't know what a VHS is, by the way, throw it in your Google machine. Your parents don't know.
How can you not remember a VHS machine?
Well, Greg, I don't know if you know this, but some people born past the era of VHS are currently adults.
Shut your mouth.
Blows my mind. But yeah, anyway.
I thought you were going to make an old joke. Okay, we're good.
Well, hey, I'm getting gray. So, but yeah, so that was that. I never watched that entire event start to finish. I was never, until the later ones, I was never really blown away by many of the In Your House events, to be honest with you.
Yeah, looking back, they sucked, but I remember like rushing home to watch them.
Well, I mean, they were cool for the time, especially when there weren't pay-per-views constantly. They kind of got you through from Raw to Raw.
Well, those were the reason they were not. They came in because of that. So.
Well, yeah, right.
They became constant.
Yeah, but they were shorter. They were what, 2 hour long.
They were usually about 2 hours. Yeah.
Yeah, and they were at a lower price point. And I mean that was kind of the appeal of the show. They were cheaper, they were shorter, but they got a lot in there. They always had title matches. Sometimes you'd get a title switch if you were lucky. And I mean, they weren't all crap. They had some good matches. Some of them.
No, they weren't all crap. Just mostly.
Yeah, I mean, most of them were kind of like, I mean, like I said, the later ones, towards later 96 and in 97, they were pretty good, like Canadian Stampede and stuff like that. So,
yeah.
But that'll wrap up the month of February. Next week, we're going to continue on with this. We may have to stretch it out. We'll have to see what all we can cram in the next few shows. But next, we are going to dive into March in the 1996 A Year in Wrestling review here. I know we're not, I'm throwing in some news and stuff like that because we're trying to switch it up, trying to do something a little different. I know you guys seem to get a lot of hits on our episodes where we kind of cover an overall subject and not just one event. So I'm trying to switch it up a little bit, try some new things. And I discovered all of these old observers, and some of the stuff is pretty interesting that you and I some of it we know, some of it we've never heard of before, like stuff about Davey Boy Smith's assault charges and all that. Just interesting to look back at 1996. And we haven't even got into like the summer when things really start heating up.
No pun.
And then, yeah. Well, and the big thing I'm looking forward to clearly is when we're going to go to Sturgis for Hog Wild. I mean, that was the pay-per-view of the year, man.
Oh my God, shut up.
But yeah, so that'll do it. Anything you'd like to say to wrap things up here, or pretty good?
Yeah, sorry for the crap.
Yeah, it was some good. I will say, go back and watch Royal Rumble 1996. It is worth a watch. Speaking of Royal Rumble, we're all rumbled out, man. January, we hit it hard. Go back and check out, me and Delvin Cox reviewed the Royal Rumble 2015. Greg and I did 96 and 92, or I'm sorry, 97 and 92. We did a lot of good stuff. We did not review the Rumble from this year because everybody and their mother's reviewing it, and we're just trying to keep with some good stuff. Overall, I think this year's Rumble event was more good than it was bad. It wasn't. I mean, it got me intrigued to WrestleMania. I'll say that.
I'm stoked. I can't wait to leave.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I know you're hella excited. You're sitting there counting down the days, but it'll be fun. I'm still trying to get a group together to watch. But all right, man. Well, we'll come at you next week. And thanks for being with me today, Greg. Yeah. We'll bring you more 1996, A Year in Wrestling review next week. Later.
Later.